Welcome, viewers! Today we are going to be watching something on Friday the 19th, which is the scariest day of the year. Well, it would be if it was the 13th. But anyway, let's introduce our players. This is a game from WC3, a match that we're going to be watching a whole best of 3 of. And it's got 2 players that are going to make you afraid. You may not be scared by the day that it is, but you will be afraid by the players as they clash their amazing Titan-like skulls together in a game that is like unlike any other. I'm not sure that made sense. Let's introduce them. In the lower left part of this map, we have Thu, spawning in as the blue Undead. Now, I'm not going to go into Thu's personal opinions, but I've been told Thu believes Undead is a very strong race. Very strong. That's why I believe he's playing it against his mortal enemy, Yumiko. I had to have the dramatic pause. Who's spawning in the top right as the red human. This map is, of course, Last Refuge, and this is about to be a hell of a game. We're gonna cut straight to the chase. This game is gonna rock. I haven't seen it, but I have been told best game ever. So I'm excited. So maybe scared's not the right way to go here. Maybe no one's gonna be scared. We're not gonna be afraid. We're gonna be thrilled. But I do think we're gonna be afraid because I think this is about to be the most amazing display of skill ever. And it's gonna scare me how good they are. How good they are. I don't know what's going on with my voice tonight, but it's just going places. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Hopefully not too much. Mountain King coming out with the militia creep. It's gonna be started. Going ahead and going for the green. Why not? Mountain King against Undead, always fun. Now look at this Nerubian tower. This is how you know he's a human player. He's a human player because he's doing things human players do. This could be an arcane tower. Instead, it's a Nerubian tower. This is actually really clever. You don't really see this too much. I mean, I've never seen it before. This aggressive. I've seen aggressive Nerubians, but this is just something else. You don't really want to lose it, but hey, this is a fantastic map for it because this is a choke point, and that's another choke point. There's only 2 ways in and out of this base, and if you're going through the top, you're gonna get slowed, which is cool. But also, look at this. He's gonna use it to creep. This is just fantastic. Everything about this is a wonderful play. And he's going to use this to go ahead and creep a pretty strong creep right off the bat. The only thing he has to be careful of, there's only one thing, and that is that he doesn't last hit a creep with the tower, but he's Thu, so he's not going to do that. We're going to watch just to be sure, but there's no way he would ever do that. He's Thu. He's using the ghouls, of course, to just go ahead and creep this a little bit faster, because even though he can take this creep down without taking too much damage by kiting and micro and all that good stuff, he still has to be somewhat quick, and this is probably going to be going for a fast level 2 right here. I mean, well, of course he's going for fast level 2. It's something. It's something, because the Mountain King up here, he's going to get this expansion off pretty much for free. There's not going to be anything stopping him. He's going to get to level 3 pretty quickly. But Thu says, I don't care. Now, the question, and here's the thing. If you don't know, Thu and Yumiko they practice together probably more than any 2 players have ever played Warcraft 3 together. These guys know each other in and out, like in ways you wouldn't know. So I would assume Thu knows exactly what he's up against. Now I don't know if Yumiko knows what he's up against yet, because I don't know how much they did on Undead vs. Doom. I'm assuming he does, but who knows, right? But I would imagine Thu knows it's probably a Mountain King, and he probably knows that dealing with a Mountain King early on, going up there and harassing it is not really a winning move for the Undead. It's more like something people feel they have to do rather than want to do. So going for just a kind of a standardish Fiends build and you know, just creeping, it's an interesting move. It's not something you see very often. It wouldn't be very good, I think, if his opponent was going Archmage, because then he would have like a level 5 Archmage right now, and he would be mass teleporting everywhere, because that's how it works, and he would have 7 expos. But against the Mountain King first, not nearly such a big deal. He's going to go ahead and get that coil kill, because he was trying to keep that out. He really would like to kill that Forest Troll Trapper, or a Footman, or anything, but he's got to make sure he doesn't lose his Death Knight to a bolt here. That is level 3 Mountain King. It's got a lot of damage. He's going to go ahead and go Fiend to Hunting. That's a Fiend down, but level 3 has been picked up for the Death Knight. He's got plenty of mana for Death Coils. This Nerubian Tower being aggressive, not only good for that creep, but as we talked about, good for the defense. And again, another thing that's kind of nice about this is because he's playing a Fiend style play, there's more harass is going to come his way. Because normally in the early game, the Undead comes up here and they say, hey, I'm going to harass you. Hey, I'm going to slow you down. Hey, I'm going to keep you on your side of the map. It's a thing about position that you kind of, it's the big thing. Positioning is the big thing, and territory and map control is the big thing in the early game for Undead versus Human. So playing a standard Fiends build where you just sit back and creep is interesting, but you're giving up a lot of that stuff right over to the Human. But however, one thing we all know is that a big Fiend push is really strong against these little expansions with just towers to defend themselves. So I guess Thu's finding himself a wonderful little timing with a level 3 Death Knight and a couple of Fiends. Now this could have been a little bit stronger if he had that Fiend that didn't die to the bolts, but he lost it. And 3 Fiends is still going to be enough. So he's also brought some ghouls. He really wants to do some damage to try to make up maybe for the fact that he didn't do any damage earlier on. He's got to be careful not to get surrounded on this Death Knight, but he did get surrounded on Fiend. And a bash right there going to make that Fiend even less effective. So all kinds of good stuff happening there. Going to see the coil go on the Fiend. There is definitely mana for bolts, but it looks like he is just waiting for that to go ahead and happen. I don't know what he's doing. But he used it to kill a Fiend. There are now only 2 Fiends left, and we're going to see these guys being forced to retreat. Thu did use a Scroll of the Beast for the early extra damage. It seems like that maybe was a little premature. I don't know. We're seeing some really good micro out of Yumiko here, though. Just picking unit off after unit off. There's really not... I don't know what Thu's goal here is. I guess just to kill stuff? I mean, because he's doing that. He's killing stuff. But he's also trading everything he has out to do it. I don't know. It seems like that could be a thing that would be in the favor of Yumiko because it's giving his Mountain King a bunch of XP. Also, it is buying him a lot of time. And keeping the army small. That's the one thing that is good for the Undead, is keeping the armies small. If the armies are small, then micro has a much bigger impact. You're fine-tuning micro. And also, the Undead has a bit of an advantage in these kind of skirmishes when the fights are small. I think that advantage is made up for with a Mountain King that's level 4. I think it is, but, you know, who knows. Down here, we're going to see he's tier 2. He is just putting down a Crypt Fiend. He's getting a Crypt Fiend out. Sure, getting the Slaughterhouse. Going for the Lich. The Yumiko player sitting here at the tavern, I'm not sure quite what he was intending there, just maybe scouting information, because he doesn't have a keep up, and so he's not getting a second hero. Maybe he was looking to see if this is going to be a Naga push, like a Death Knight Naga push, which would probably be a little bit insane, because there's a level 4 Mountain King with Boots of Speed. Not really something you want to be using a Naga against, I would say, because you can't heal it. It would just die, kind of. Not really the best, not the best. But the Lich, very similar hero. Just as squishy as the Naga. However, you can death coil it, so that's fantastic. Down here, we're gonna see he is still just on tier 2. It looks like he wants to go for some crazy tier 2 push. That's who knows what it's gonna... It's Thu! Yeah, and so Militia coming in here to defend this. He's got a Clarity being popped on the Mountain King to pick up his mana so he can have more bolts. He's got a second Clarity right there just waiting for it. Now what we need to see is probably Frost Armor. There it is, yeah. Frost Armor, like I said, very similar to Frost Arrow, except it slows a whole bunch more dudes and gives you a lot more defensiveness. Here we're seeing really good micro come out of Yumiko. He's just saying, I don't even have to bolt it to surround it and it's gonna die. Even with the Frost Armor, I don't care. The Shredder coming out. The Shredder is an excellent choice for an aggressive unit against the Mountain King because of the fact that you can't bolt it. Also, it's got a lot of HP and it just rips through Militia like nobody's business. Absolutely fantastic. You're gonna see that Mountain King, or the Fiend right there, going down. There's plenty of mana for coils. I'm not sure why we're not seeing defensive coils here. He's coiling the guy who is actually surrounded. I guess he's gonna force the TP, which is good. Oh, so close to getting that Fiend saved. But unfortunately, every fight so far has gone kind of badly for Thu. But he has kept the counts fairly low. A bunch of footmen, not really a big deal, especially the later the game goes. Once the Lich is out, having loads of footmen is really just like saying, hey, I got lots of Tome XPs for ya. It's great. They can be used for kind of, harassment stuff, but against the Fiend play, it's not really, it's not really that great. I guess it's good just to hold on as the human player. You can build the footmen, and it's very difficult to lose a base if you have a whole bunch of footmen. But again, it's not really something you want. It's more just for safety, and he's gonna get, if he has them, he may as well go ahead and use them to creep. But this is a pretty funny creep. Even if he loses them here, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he's not trying to lose them, but even if he did, it's not a big deal. Getting the Ruined Bracer still, that's a fantastic idea. He obviously couldn't have planned that, but That's a great item. This item is important because it reduces bolt damage, which is otherwise crazy strong. The meat wagon push is real. That's what we're going to be seeing here. Meat wagon, actually, you know, having a bunch of footmen is okay against meat wagon, but it looks like maybe he just wants to go straight for the harass play. No, is he going to come around the back? Maybe go for the interception? Maybe go for the harass? He doesn't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Once again, we have a follower. Thank you. I keep meaning to turn that sound off, but whatever. You know, I don't even care. It's cool. It's cool. You're going to have a couple healing scrolls be picked up, as well as a potion of lesser invulnerability. The Mountain King going to move on down here. He's going to say, well, what can I do? With this many footmen, there's a lot he can do because he has defend, and he's pretty much not even going to have to worry about these Nubian towers or anything like that. He does want to go ahead and pick off the footman or the fiend if he can. It's more experience, and you know, why not? I'm gonna see a dust. Was that? Yeah, it was from here, so he can actually prevent burrows. Pretty smart. He's got so many units at this point. Also, note something. You can frost armor the shredder. I didn't even know that. That makes it so much better. Wow. If you don't have a shredder when you play against humans and you do the strategy Thu's doing, you're out of your mind. Wow. How awesome is that? That just makes him a footman killer. That's what he is. He is a footman killer. That's fantastic. Up here, these meat wagons, meanwhile, have been doing some work. There is a zeppelin to actually allow them to deal with the fact that there are going to be some footmen trying to harass them, and there's some trees, so just screw it. How much micro do you got? More multitasking to the player who has the most multitasking is going to get the most damage off. Those meat wagons going to be a little bit scary if they, I mean, 2 footmen, not really a big deal, but here comes the rest of Thu's army to go ahead and back those guys up. Say, hey, here's the support, the tactical support. There's only a couple of towers up here, so it's not a big deal. There's not really a whole lot to stop Thu killing this town hall, or this keep rather. Except this over here. This will stop him, potentially, right? This is going to be a micro battle that we're going to see coming in. This couple skeleton warriors just going to get some scouting information off, say, oh, okay, I see what's going on. And it's not rifle caster. That's what he's probably wanting to know more than anything else. Is it rifle caster? Are there militia coming? Those are important things, because if it's not rifle caster, then that means it's going to be something later. Maybe Spellbreakers later? Maybe Griffins, maybe air, who knows? Or maybe he's just saving up resources for something like mercenaries, who knows? Anyway, this fight now going underway. That meat wagon gonna need to get piffed up into the zeppelin. Also gonna be able to use that to kick up the wonderful little dudes that get surrounded, such as this demon hunter over here. Yeah, it's surrounded. No, it doesn't matter. He's got his zeppelin. But he does have to make sure that he doesn't lose the zeppelin over here to the Forest Troll Berserker, which is pretty much just right-clicked on it, saying, I can't believe you have this thing. It's making it very difficult for me to deal with it. Gonna see a nice coil onto the Crypt Fiend, trying to keep that alive. He's gonna bring the Zeppelin back in. It's gonna be a little bit dangerous, and he will lose that Zeppelin, but it saved the Crypt Fiend for just a little bit. And there goes the Forest Troll Berserker, dying ever so slightly too soon, or too late rather, to save that Zeppelin. Now we're gonna see one of those meat wagons going down. Could not really get out of there, and all of these units now getting retreated by Yumiko, and he's gonna be able to turn those back into militia if he wants to at this keep, but he probably doesn't really want to do that just yet. He wants to get from some wood. Maybe, I don't know, repair, all good things, but he doesn't really want to fight, it looks like, so he's going to back off. We're going to see the Blood Mage second for Yumiko. The Blood Mage, naturally one of the best fiend killer things in the game when you combine it with the Mountain King, but he goes from being one of the best fiend killers, I would say, to being one of the best undead killers. It's very powerful. You get to banish on any of these units, any undead unit, and it starts taking 66% more magic damage, and then you get bolted to the face, and it just takes so much damage that the game just is like, I can't compute. It's more damage than a critical strike, we'll put it like that, from a level 5 Blade Master with 6 claws of attack. That's true. It's a true story. It's a lot of damage. It's insane. So you gotta be careful, but that does depend on the Mountain King being level 5 as well, but he is, so there you go. And the Blood Mage, here's the cool thing about the Blood Mage, a higher level banish doesn't really make a big difference. In fact, I would go as far as to say, in some arguments, having a higher level Blood Mage, well, not a higher level Blood Mage, but a higher level Banish is a bad idea, because it gives the undead more time to have a big coil go off, and most of the time, you're not really using it for denying damage. I mean, it's not a bad thing to have it higher level. There's a lot of good uses for it, but there's also just a drawback, because, you know, both races can get some kind of cool stuff to happen there. He's gonna pick up a Legion Doomhorn for the Death Knight. He doesn't need that, so he's going to probably sell that for 200 gold. The meat wagon over here looks like he's in bad shape. Is he going to get a frost armor just to slow the guy down to be annoying? No, he's not. He's not going to waste his mana. His Lich doesn't have enough mana to be wasting it. No need to waste it. That's what he's thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Mountain King halfway through level 5 now. The Undead player, no expansion. Human, expansion. So this is not this is a typical scenario, I would say. Also, it looks like we're going to see maybe some Breaker Priest Griffin Rider. maybe? Breaker, Priest, Griffin Rider. Is he going for Castle? I guess that would be the depending. No. Okay, so it's not. So it's going to be Dragonhawk Priest. Also interesting. Mountain King in the back. He is invisible. I don't know if that was from a potion or a sorceress. I haven't seen any sorceresses, so I'm going to assume it's a potion from the shop. It probably was. And he can use that to come down here and kill a bunch of these lovely little acolytes. He's level 5, so one bolt takes him down. Just like that. He's going to go for some smack-a-macks. Thu going to say, no, you're not actually going to smack-a-rack anything, but you might get a second bolt off. Nope, not even going to get the second bolt off. He can smack-a-rack the Goblin Shredder if he wants. Thu doesn't care. He shouldn't lose the Goblin Shredder. So there it goes. It's going to run away. It's immune. These acolytes could be done with moving a little bit further away. Otherwise, nope, they're just going to get bolted again. I don't know why. I guess he's going to go ahead and use them to repair the Goblin Shredder to fight the Mountain King. That's odd. But fair enough. Mountain King going to TP over here. Come back to Yumiko's little base army. He says, okay, well, I'm being attacked here. I can just TP up here, and then I can have some mana siphoned over to me. I've got a mana potion as well. I can fight this off, is what he's thinking. And he probably can. But because there are only a couple destroyers here, the destroyers are going to pretty much be the bread and butter of this fight for Thu, though. And the mana siphon is going to be a big problem, so he's going to have to stop that immediately because he needs his mana really, really badly. There are Dragonhawk Riders coming out. Dragonhawk Riders are pretty good against destroyers if the destroyers don't have mana. This Death Knight is in a bad way. He's going to be forced to pop that Hellstone. He doesn't really want to abandon the fight just yet. He's doing as much as he can to wait as long as he can to TP, and that's exactly what he did right there. We're going to see that Lich potentially getting in trouble with the banish, but he's not going to get bolted, so he'll get TP'd out. That could have been bad, because if that had been a bolt, that would have been a dead Lich. But that's okay. We're going to now start seeing mass Dragonhawk Riders come out. These guys are... I would compare them to Flying Archers. I compare these a lot to Hippogriff Riders. I think they're quite similar. They do a similar amount of damage. They have a similar amount of life, and they're just about as squishy. But they have a couple of nice things that Hippogriff Riders don't, which is, of course, the Cloud, which you have to tech for, and also the ability to, like, lasso gargoyles. So they can't really do any kind of lassoing to the destroyers. They throw the lasso, and the destroyers will, like, melts off like butter on hot knives. Yeah. That's yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's Dragonhawk Riders. They're really good because archers are really good against destroyers that don't have any mana. So Dragonhawk Riders are really good against destroyers that don't have any mana, and that's a common theme we'll see in Undead vs Human. X unit that is ranged and does piercing damage is really good against destroyers that don't have any mana. That's just how it goes. Towers, similar situation, except towers, at least take extra damage from them. So that's kind of nice, but you have to be a little bit careful of that all times. Mountain King, dangerously close to level 6 at this point, going to come in and immediately look for some pickoffs. He's going to look for some big pickoffs. He's going to say, oh, no goals, but there's still a Shredder. Figures, and he's gonna go for the kills. Down here we do have the Undead player. He's creeping up, but that's not particularly important. Did he get another Legion Doomhorn? He did. That is a slap in the face to get 2 of those in one game as the Undead player here. He's going to use this Shredder. This is actually, it's really cool what he's doing here. He's got a Banshee. Oh, okay, Adept Banshee. Really needed that. That is a really good idea to get because it makes him able to tank the bolts. Otherwise, it's very difficult to tank those bolts. And this Shredder, he does so much damage. He's also been cursed here. So, it's very difficult for him to kill the Shredder. This is a really smart play from Thu. I think this is the hardest counter to Mountain King harass that I've ever seen. It's much better than just straight up, trapping your acolytes off or whatever, because when you do that, he can still just sit there and spam bolt them and they don't have anywhere to run. In this case, he gets a bolt and he immediately moves them all, and then using his nice little maze of a base, he puts the Shredder in between the Mountain King and the acolytes, and because of the slow, it actually kind of works. And then once he gets the Banshee out, he says, okay, well, that can curse him, so he can't actually go toe-to-toe with the Shredder, and even if he could, maybe I'll have enough mana to cast an anti-magic shell on one of my acolytes. Who knows? But here comes a bit of harass from the Dragonhawk Riders. Now, this guy's can do a little bit of damage. Will he take down one acolyte? He won't even take down one acolyte. Not really doing much damage in that case. Yeah, I don't know. That was... He could have. He just kind of backed out a little too soon. Would have been able to take down at least one. No doubts about that. I guess he's afraid of the fiends coming in and webbing him, because that would be pretty bad for him if he gets webbed. But other than that, he's in pretty good shape. I would say pretty good shape to just kind of sit over the gold mine and attack those acolytes, but he just didn't. Level 4 on the Lich, halfway through it, getting close to level 5. He does have the Rune Bracer. It's going to be really important, as well as the Circle of Nobility and the Belt of Giant Strength. All of these things are giving him a lot of HP, and tankiness against the bolt, especially the Banish Bolt combo, and you need those things, but don't forget he's also going to have Anti-Magic Shell. Now, one of the most important things you may not remember to do as an Undead player if you go Banshees is Anti-Magic Shell the Banshees, because if those things get bolted, they die in one bolt, pretty much, and, okay, they can't do your Anti-Magic Shell on your Lich or your Death Knight, which you need desperately to have. So that's going to allow him to actually tank all of these bolts. That's pretty much how this is going to go. Otherwise, it's not going to go too well. There is a wonderful bolt, but you can see Anti-Magic Shell just immediately tanking that. Just boom, and it's gone. But no damage to the Death Knight. That is fantastic, because otherwise we're talking loads of damage to the Death Knight. Now, this is kind of an interesting situation to be in. If that Banshee gets caught out a little aggressively, he will get bolted. There's no doubt about it. Well, I saved that, and he went for the Fiend instead. Crazy play, whatever. But I'm wrong. Anyway, so Dark Range are going to be picked up as the third hero. Normally, you got to be careful doing this, but with Banshee play, again, you can do it. The Paladin at level 1, now that's you're going to have to be a little bit careful of as well. He is getting banished on the Dark Ranger, but you're not going to waste a bolt for it. Doesn't have a whole lot of mana, I guess. He's got 245 plus a mana potion, plus siphons. I don't know, he could have wasted a bolt. Maybe he was worried more about the cooldown. That seems reasonable. Oh, the Anti-Magic Shell eating that bolt just like a awesome little spell it is. You're gonna see some curses going off. Curses, you know, naturally good. And again, everything's good about that. Just these beautiful Anti-Magic Shells. You don't even see them. They're just there for a split second, but the bolt lands and it just doesn't do any damage. That is micro. That is amazing micro. I don't know if you're seeing that, but that is split of the second. He sees what target's going for it, because you can't afford to have everything Anti-Magic Shelled unless you have a ton of Banshees. He's gonna miss a few, that's fair enough, but just that he's saving any is just really fantastic. There are so many human units here, got a lot of curses. It's amazing that he can afford to do the curses, I'll say that. Here comes a nice little silence on all of these guys, but mainly on the Mountain King. The Mountain King's gonna go ahead and pop a bolt, doesn't care, he's gonna go ahead and bolt the good old Death Knight. That was not because he was trying to do damage, he was trying to take out the mana with the Siphon mana. He wanted to keep it in place a little bit, because it had an Anti-Magic Shell up. So there you go. Undead being forced to retreat. Once again, you're seeing this. This is so ridiculous. The micro. Holy crap. Another Anti-Magic Shell on that bolt. I mean, you just can't even see it. Like, you just can't even see it. Dude, what a strong player. Wow. And I'm speechless. I'm literally speechless. I mean, if I was Yumiko, I would be so frustrated right now. I would be like, why won't they die? Normally, when you have that level Mountain King, it just starts killing things. I'm surprised he's not going for this Dragonhawk Rider, because he has vision of it, and he gives enough vision around there to know he could have went for it, but I guess he was just saying, all right, I'm done with the fighting. I'll let you run away. Healing Word being used by Yumiko, not really, actually, I don't think it really did a whole lot. Maybe it's partly why Thu ran away from that fight. I don't know. But up here, we will see that this is going to have a couple of guard towers up here. Good 4 towers. Not too bad. Not too shabby. And here comes Thu just to go ahead and start doing something here. That one, he didn't get the Anti-Magic Shell on that one. That's okay. Gonna miss some, like I said. It's just impressive that he gets as many as he does, especially as close as they are. We're gonna see some of these guys going down. This is gonna be a position that Thu has to be very careful in, because it's very easy to get surrounded by these militia right here. Very easy, but level 5 has been picked up by the Lich. Now that means he can start doing some high-level nukes, which could be helpful. There are Griffin Riders out at this point. Griffin Riders kind of make this happen. The Death Knight's taking a ton of damage. He doesn't actually have any way to get out of that, so he's gonna have to get a nice Frost Nova to take him out. Does he have a TP? He does not have a TP on Thu. Thu is being very aggressive right now. Will that Lich go down? Oh, the coil is going to land just in perfect timing. Will that be enough to save him? If he gets split away from the army, it looks like it probably won't be, because there's no way he's going to have to... Oh, what? Okay, fair enough. He actually got away from that. And one of the nice things was that there was a Banshee there ready to pick up the Anti-Magic Shell, but still, wow. That looked like it was dead to me. Thu is just surprising me repeatedly in this game. And look how much of he just doesn't care. He does not care. He still does not have a TP. He's saying, I need every bit of gold that I have to be invested in my army to deal with this. And he's doing that. I mean, not having a TP against a level, is it 6 now? Level 6, level 5 Mountain King. It's so close to level 6. Banish, level 4 on the Blood Mage, and a level 1 Paladin. That takes balls and skill. Balls and skill. Well played by Thu. Yumiko, of course, also playing wonderfully. Don't act like this 1-2 one-sided. Yumiko just took another expansion. That puts him up to 2 expansions. No, he has actually okay, so this gold mine's gone, this gold mine's gone, which means this gold mine's gone. So Thu has an expansion. It's actually 1 mine to 1 mine now. So even though Thu in the early game didn't really have a very strong early game, he has really turned it around quite a bit. So now he should easily just be getting level 3 on that Dark Ranger, because he's just going to back off with the Lich and the Death Knight, who are both level 5. They don't need to be over here taking up experience. Here comes the Mountain King and the rest of the human army. Nope, just the Mountain King. Oh, and the Blood Mage going for those pickoffs. It's not gonna happen. Not today. Not with those Banshees around. Not with Thu's micro. He's saying, I don't think so. I'm gonna force you out of here, and you're not gonna be picking my units off like that. Not today, sucker. Not today, sir. Again, this micro from him is just crazy good. If you've never tried to play what Thu is doing, you may not be able to appreciate just how insanely slick he is being right now with those anti-magic shells. That is not an easy thing to do. It is so impressive. But down here, these guys are looking like maybe they wanted to go in for the harass, but I don't know what they're going to harass. There's not really any acolytes in there. All the acolytes are coming over here. Thu also going for a second expansion at this point. If that goes up, Thu's going to have a pretty big bank. And because of the way he's microing and playing right now, he's pretty well shutting the strategy down. This Crypt Fiend over here, he is going to have to burrow. Not a big deal. Can't kill him if he's burrowed. Now, if they do come over here, they find their way down here, there's not really much to stop them from picking off acolytes. So we might see Thu have to retreat. It's not a big deal, though. Thu can absolutely afford to retreat. We have these destroyers over here doing some harass, because really, they're immune to bolts. There's not really any range units. There is a Blood Mage, but whatever. There's no towers up here. This is a pretty good harass. And meanwhile, you can just come down here. Now, we did see a cloud on the Nerubian Tower. But again, like I said, there's not really a lot stopping these guys from picking off the acolytes. So we're seeing a similar thing. Both players are using their air units to harass the opponent's mining base, which is kind of cool. This haunted gold mine, if that goes up, this is something I will say. Thu wants to be aggressive right now so that he can't have both of his mining bases, or rather one of the mining base and the base that will be soon a mining base harassed. He wants to be aggressive. He wants to pin Yumiko down on this side of the map. Also, that Mountain King's level 6, and he's got a Staff of Sanctuary, which is pretty cool. Two things about that. If you're keeping the human and you can contain them at their one base, that's really good, because that means, one, they can't come around here bolting your acolytes, and two, that means that you can have a second expansion that's got absolutely no defense at it. That would be pretty cool. There is a siege engine, however, so Yumiko says, well, that's all well and good, but look at this map. This fight is all over the map. There was a Mount King and a Death Knight doing some battle, the siege engine doing some battle with some Crypt Fiends over here. We have another siege engine coming up, and why not? Got a couple of these Griffin Riders just looking around the map. These destroyers still doing some stuff. Finally have some Dragonhawk Riders coming back out so they can actually push away the good... The destroyers, the shade dodging a bolt just like everything else that Thu has. He was revealed by this magic sentry, but he moved out of the way so the bolt hit him when he was invisible, which means he dodged it. Pretty cool. This did actually go down, so but it does have blight now, so you can come back around next time, put down some ziggurats in front of it or something, so you can still potentially get it. The cool part about this, I can't really get it out. This is an expansion. It's 1-to-1, so just keep in mind the first like 20 minutes of this game was 2 bases for Yumiko and 1 base for Thu. Now it's 1 base for Yumiko and 1 base for Thu, and Thu is working on getting a second base. Now he may not be able to get it, but that doesn't matter. The point is that Yumiko has to spend resources, very precious resources, to stop this from happening, and he can't do that in a very, very, very efficient way. Having to trade 2 siege engines for one, literally just one haunted gold mine, is not resource efficient whatsoever for the human player. So that actually means Thu came out on top even though he lost that base. It absolutely is the case. And he's gonna get meat wagons, I guess. Again, he wants to go maybe for defense. These are for defense, because these guys are how you deal with tanks. They do siege damage, tanks come in, there you go. He's gonna potentially lose it, though, if those Griffin Riders come down here when a tank comes down here, if he abandons his base. If he's here, then obviously those Griffin Riders can't come in. There's too many fiends too close. Frost Nova Web, those guys would die, and that would not be very efficient. He wouldn't want that. He's got to be efficient, because again, like I just said, 2 bases potentially versus 1. That's crazy. So that's a hard position for the human to be in. So this is pretty cool. Again, like I was talking about, he's going to start making this tower defense up here, so that if there are more tanks coming down, it's going to be harder for him to actually take this. And once he has a couple towers up, you know, that'll be pretty cool for him. And it'll also help deal with the air harass. So that's going to be kind of multi-pronged stuff going on. Down here, we do have a siege engine. It was being attacked by those destroyers and stuff. I don't know quite what it's going to do. He's got a meat wagon in here to kind of deal with that. A second siege engine coming down here as well. These siege engines are literally just being wasted. Also, we happen to have a Zeppelin dropping tanks, a tank drop right now onto this gold mine. He's gonna try to kill it. It's gonna be difficult to kill it, though. I don't think he's going to get it. He's going to try if he... I'm surprised. Yeah, we don't have like a... Well, there we go. I was going to say, I'm surprised we don't have the Fiend coming in to get the web on that, but there it was. Mountain King is now in Avatar mode. He's going to try to pick off these Acolytes. We're seeing that as well with this Blood Mage going for the Banshee. I think that may be a bit of miss micro. The Banshee, or the Blood Mage, is going to get staffed out, and the Mountain King also going to staff himself out. And there you go. This Goblin Zeppelin doesn't have anything on it, but this is Ziggurat once again. It's just chilling out. He doesn't have to rush for that base. Having one base, here's the thing about this, okay? Having two bases as an undead means you have two places you have to defend critically, plus your main base, which you have to defend, but it's not quite as critical, unless you lose like key buildings, in which case it is critical, but you probably won't because it's this is a harder base to assault. So it's not a big deal if he's building this up slowly, as long as he can make sure if this is in a good spot, then he can build up this. If this is not in a good spot, then he needs to build up this. That's how it works. And in fact, I'm even surprised that he's being so aggressive here and not just repairing this to full. But there you go, that's through. He's just kind of good. He's keeping these Crypt Fiends in the back this time. So here's another thing to keep in mind. He kills the sheep just because you never know if that was a mechanical critter or not. You don't really want somebody staffing in on it and then, you know, going ham on your Acolytes the second you leave. You don't want that. But with these Crypt Fiends here, nothing can happen. None of this air can come over here. We won't see another tank drop. Here's the other thing. If a Zeppelin were to drop here with these Fiends, one thing he can do is he can literally just web it forever. You don't ever have to kill it. You can just keep two Fiends and just web it forever, and it can never drop units out of it. And it's a little bit difficult to get the micro down for that, so probably wouldn't happen. But he would probably keep it webbed until it was an opportune time to kill those tanks without, you know, losing the Haunted Goldmine. So that's just a little bit of stuff. Now we have both of those guys. They are invisible. Do we have sorceresses? Yeah, we do have a sorceress. You can barely see him. He's master. These guys, the destroyers, just again a little bit of harass over on that side of the map. And again, we're going to see some more scouting, or this time just scouting with a Zeppelin. It's empty, nothing in it, but he's just saying, hey, is that actually gonna have anything built up there? Not yet. Okay, well, I'm not gonna send my heroes over there. I'm gonna instead send them over here towards this part of the map. There's actually a shade on these guys. I don't know if they know that. Probably not, but you know, dude's like, you're invisible. I can't see you. I have no idea where you are. Oh, never mind. JK, LOL. And here he comes to start doing some damage to the Mr. Blood Mage, which is a lot of nuke damage. He's going to get staffed out, though. That is important for two reasons. One, it's going to take mana to heal him up. He doesn't have Brilliance Aura, and he's already using his mana over here to heal up these Destroyer, or these Dragonhawk Riders from the Destroyer harass, as well as his Peasants. And two, if it doesn't, or I guess he has the Paladin, but that's fair. He does have the Paladin. Also, the Sanctuary will heal him up, so never mind. I was wrong. But it is still nice. It's nice to just force him out. Force him out of the way. More siege engines are being made. That's a lot of tanks. He's just building up himself a nice tank reservoir. I don't know. He's decided to do this. He's got high-level heroes, but he doesn't have the high-level Paladin. If the Paladin can get to level 3, he'll be in pretty good shape, because once a level 3 Paladin is out and you have like a high-level Mountain King like 5+, that combo becomes almost impossible to kill. It does a ton of damage. Also with Banish, it starts doing more damage, significantly more damage than Banshees can actually deal with the anti-magic shell. They still mitigate a lot of it, but it starts doing a ton of damage to your heroes, and you know that's basically the scenario Thu's going to be really afraid of. So he needs to make sure he plays efficiently. Here we're going to see again this Haunted Goldmine. Now it's going to go up. Now we're going to see these Griffin Riders trying to do some harass to it. They might be able to kill it. You know, yeah, they're going to be able to cancel it. And again, like I said, once this is good, and it was good, then you can start building this up. Otherwise, you don't really need to. This thing has 4,300 gold at it. Let's look at what this one has, 6,800 gold at it. So Thu desperately wants to get this up, because if he gets this up, if he secures this, then he's got a massive economic lead, potentially. You know, all he has to do, at that point, all he has to do is defend. He doesn't have to do any kind of harass. He just has to defend, and it'll be fine. Here comes a little bit of this. We're going to see a Banshee getting picked off. That's a good play by Yumiko. He's going to staff out with both of those heroes, say, okay, I got something, I'm leaving. So it's very much down to the wire, and you can kind of see and tell that when you start seeing the human players saying, I'm good with picking off like a really low cost unit. Banshees, they're very low cost units. Grand total resource cost is like 180. It's like 150 gold, 155, 30 wood, something like that. It's really, really low. It's dirt cheap. So killing one of those, it's nice. It's nice, it is. But killing one of those every like 2 minutes, every 1 minute, I should say, is probably more closely accurate to the rate that we would see that happen. if he keeps that up, it's just not doing a whole lot. You know, it's just a little edge. I mean, that's all that the human player can do right now, and that is why it's important for him to do that. Meanwhile, over here, look at all these tanks. He's been building it up. He's been building it up, saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to somehow use these tanks. I don't know what he's going to do with them. I don't know what he's going to do with them. I think he might split attack. I would imagine that Thu has already scouted this. He's got to make sure not to lose any of these destroyers. They're kind of important. And yeah, it looks like we're going to see a split attack. Going to send 2 this way towards this base, which is the thing that currently Thu is trying to defend. We're going to see those Griffins go down because they've got webbed. A little bit of an overextension there. That's not too good. You're feeding experience, and you've lost a bit of air support that was really good against this gold mine. So now that these siege engines are going this way, it's like Thu kind of has to deal with it, but also there's a lot of siege engines going down towards the main base. This is normally not a critical thing you have to defend, but if there's this many tanks, you critically have to defend it. Otherwise, it's going to demolish everything. You're gonna have none of those buildings left. That's a lot of food that you're gonna lose from the Ziggurats. It's a lot of production. That's also tech that you're gonna lose. It's gonna take a while to get back to Black Citadel, especially considering he doesn't have another necropolis anyway, but he's gonna put one up. He's just preparing. He says this might be what happens. Also, we have another 2 tank drop coming down in here, and that's gonna be something Thu's gonna immediately have to deal with. All sorts of things. What Yumiko is doing is he's saying, let's put as many different strains onto his attention span and his ability to multitask and have his army split up as we possibly can. There's really not anything Thu can do about these tanks. There's just nothing. He doesn't have the resources. He doesn't have the army. He doesn't have the supply. So he's going to have to give something up, and it looks like it's going to be the main base. He's trying to get this unholy string finished. That's going to be critically important as this game goes further into it, because meat wagons benefit from that. Meat wagons having their attack upgraded. There we go, 72 to 106. He did manage to lose the gold mine regardless. He's got these destroyers over here, just going to go for the Zeppelin kill. May as well get it if you can. This is not over for Thu. It's not over. He's not out. He's just loose. He just lost his main base. It hurts. It definitely hurts. That's all of his production. That's everything he had. That's a lot of his supply. That's a lot of his buildings. It's all gone. But it's not over, because as we talked about, this is a potential economic advantage that is pretty much unparalleled. There's nothing that Yumiko can do in this game to make up for that. If Thu can hold on to just this gold mine here and the one over here. In fact, he could even afford to lose this one, but he really doesn't want to, because frankly, at this point, he needs every building he can have. Otherwise, Yumiko can just go for the building destruction win. This Mountain King, is that going to be what he's focusing on? Maybe so. It looks like, I don't even know yet. He is going to focus on that. He's going to maybe try to force a TP. Forcing a TP would be good. It's gonna happen. Gets the tanks out of there faster, so they're gonna do less damage. He's gonna immediately put up the haunted gold mine again. Really surprised he's not spending more focus or energy rather on keeping that alive, but you know, he's got limited resources at this point. He's dealing with a lot of tanks. He's only got 3 meat wagons as well in this little army, so basically he's having a very hard time. Also, it's nice to see all of these acolytes having anti-magic cell on them, because they're critical. He can't remake them at this point. He's 72 food out of 60 food. He needs more Ziggurats, and he can't really afford to make more Ziggurats because he doesn't really have the resources, and he's not getting any more gold back because his haunted gold mine's dead. And in fact, it looks like we're going to see more harass come up here from tanks. There's another tank right there. His army is over here. He's trying to fight this tank off. He's trying to save these buildings if he can, because he's got to be very afraid at this point that maybe Yumiko decides just to spam tanks with the rest of his bank out of this gold mine, which is another 4,000 gold, which is quite a few more tanks. Another big tank push. I mean, we've already seen what it did one time. It leveled pretty much the entire main base, so he's gonna have to be careful. He's gonna have to be really careful. Really what Thu wants to do, and the timing here, by the way, that Yumiko hit was perfect, because this gold mine has 2,500 gold left in it. That's not a lot of gold, but it's enough that Thu really wants to keep it. And that means that Thu, I would have said if Thu had just abandoned that and just defended this at this choke point, he could have kept this alive a lot easier, because this is a wonderful choke point to defend. But at the same time, you can kind of think about what Thu was thinking, is that I can defend this choke point against mass tanks all day long. So let's just get as much gold as we can from the rest of the map, build up my advantage as much as we can, and so that when I have to defend this, all I'm doing is defending it from tanks. Just one big tank line push, and it's not going to be that difficult for him to push or to defend. He can have the meat wagons in the back. As many tanks as they want can come in, but that's a choke point with a few units. There's no way, there's absolutely no way Yumiko's going to break that. His only bet in that case is going to be to have some kind of Zeppelin harass, and ideally with the fiends in the back as well as some towers. That really won't be that effective, especially with a couple of destroyers in the back just kind of patrolling the air so that he knows when these starts are coming. So Thu, it may seem like what Thu did was a little bit crazy just to kind of give up this one, but it's not a bad idea. It's really not, because you can't defend 3 points against tanks. You can't do it unless you have like a massive meat wagon advantage, and even then you can't afford to have that many meat wagons because your army would just be, you would just fall down to any kind of transition from the human player. You'd say, oh, you killed my tanks, fine. Now I transition into, you know, mass dragon hawks, and then he wins because all you have is meat wagons. So really 3 points is too much for the undead player to defend against the human player. But you can let this fall, whatever. I personally would have preferred to have seen that on summon at some point, maybe later in the game. He couldn't afford to do that just yet because he didn't have enough buildings. He could have built buildings and unsummoned at the same time. That would have worked. It sounds counterintuitive, but because you can't defend 3 points, sometimes it's not the worst idea. But he does get the Fiend pick off, and he's going to TP out. That's a pretty good pick off. That, you know, that's about 300 resources gone. That's a nice pick off. Now, what doesn't really matter in this game too much because he had a shredder for so long. He's got like 1,500 wood still, so it probably won't matter. I'm kind of surprised that he's building up this position as much as he is. He's really entrenching down right here, which is for a gold mine with 1,600 gold compared to this one. This one, though, I will say is a little bit harder to trench down in because there's not a whole lot of space. So that's one potential issue. You can kind of trench down a little bit outside of it as well, but you know, one of the nice things, however, about the way this map is laid out is you have this position here and this position, which kind of is it's fairly reasonable to defend because you have one choke point where they can attack from, another choke point where they can attack from, and finally one more choke point. So there's only 3 choke points that they can get in and out with their stuff. Also, of course, they can mount an air assault with drops or whatever, but those are all defendable. So if you're trenching down and there's a bunch of tanks coming through here, you can easily block this, you know, and with good shade scouting, you can easily see all of that coming. So you should have plenty of time to react. He's got to make sure not to lose the shade, though. It's obviously critical if we're talking about this because as the game progresses, if another big tank wave comes, he needs to use those choke points. There's just no doubt about it. If he doesn't, he'll probably lose. That's really the only way he's going to be able to defend this. Now, this destroyer could actually eat those invisibles if he wanted to move that shade over there just to see. And he's going to see him. So that destroyer, maybe, I don't know where the destroyer went off to, but he could have done that and then gone for some attacks. It's going to lose that Fiend. He just was a little too slow on the anti-magic shell there. That's a little unfortunate. Again, good play by Yumiko, just getting those 300 resource pickoffs. It's a big deal to have that happen, especially when you're this low. We'll see. I mean, through now, at the point where this only has 800 gold left in it, he needs to go ahead. This is also good. It's certainly good now. So once again, we can see him kind of come back over here and try to build this up once more. This, not so much. This has only got 1,800 gold left in it. Really, Yumiko has one more chance to win this game because because he's decided to go with the tank play. If the tanks fail the next time around, which they can, if you just got to use those choke points really well. And the problem, I will say, there is a big potential issue. There are so many tanks at this point. He could send 2 tanks this way, 2 tanks this way, 2 tanks this way, 2 tanks on the drop, 2 tanks on the drop, and you know that would. There's no way Thu could defend it at the choke points. He couldn't stop it at the choke points. You'd have to choose a point to defend, either this base or this base. He wouldn't be able to do both. He'd probably do this one, just because it has a lot more buildings, and building victory is a condition that you can lose. So. The shade has anti-magic shell. It's a nice play just in case it gets caught out, but we know how important that is now because we know how important these choke points are, and we know how important scouting that tank wave is coming. So Yumiko at this point, the question is, does he wait till he has just like 90 food, 90, 60 food, whatever? Does he mine this out and then make more tanks? That's going to take quite a while. It's going to give a lot of time to Thu, so I would be surprised if he does that. But here we go. Thu is gone for this. This is being built up right now. There's no doubt. We're going to see this flying machine potentially go down. What would be a good call here? Well, keeping these meat wagons, maybe not a bad idea because you want to defend this from the tanks. You really want to. Again, that's the condition that we're seeing really matter here. It's not going to be who kills whose army. It's going to be who kills whose base. And more to the point, who kills Thu's base. Because if Thu loses his base to this tank push, and here it comes, that shade now seeing it, he's going to try to move right into this choke point to stop those tanks from coming in. Here it is, there it is, there's the block, there's the retreat. Yumiko definitely not splitting up these tanks the way he needed to give the kind of overwhelming advantage that he needed with those numbers. As many tanks as you have, it doesn't matter. If they all get blocked, there's not 1 or 1,000. It does not matter if they're not able to get to any buildings. They can't attack anything else. They don't have the air upgrade. And this is going to be using these meat wagons right here to go ahead and start doing some serious damage. However, we have a ton of 6 tanks this way. Now, if he's not here to defend this choke point, those can go down. This I think is more critical at this point than this base down here. Let him have it, whatever. Get over here and stop him from killing things. Look, at those acolytes are not gonna be able to defend this. He needs to get his army up in there, but what they will be able to defend is they can have like a little defended line so that the tanks can't get back into the back. But again, he's losing a lot of this up front. This is an issue for him without a doubt. He needs to not let those tanks in. I'm surprised. Why isn't he moving his army up? Oh, why isn't he moving his army up here? I just kind of tapped, but I don't know why he's not moving his army up here. This seems like it's a bad decision by him. He's gonna staff those tanks out again. Yumiko knows this is the last of his resources, and again, I feel like Thu easily could have pulled his units up there and easily kept those tanks from killing that graveyard. That would have never died. The Mountain King is doing his best to kill these meat wagons. That's really unfortunate. Meanwhile, these buildings are all going down to tanks. Those are definitely going to die. So if all of these acolytes die, if this haunted gold mine dies, it's GG for Thu. He's got to be careful here. Oh, we tabbed again. He's got to be careful here. He's just going to say, screw it, I'm going to let the meat wagon finish it off. This is important down here too. Do whatever I can. It looks like, you know, here's the thing. Yumiko is out of gold. This is it. Everything Yumiko has now is pretty much all he's ever going to have. He's got 549 gold, and that's it. He could sell a couple items if he wanted to, but this is pretty much all he has. Pretty much all that he has, okay? I don't know. I don't know who's going to win this. Again, there's so many tanks at this point. There are so many tanks. Let's see, how many tanks? Two tanks. Where are the rest of the tanks? Over here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks. Tanks. So there are 6 tanks, 7, 8 tanks, 9 tanks on the field, 9 tanks on the field, 1 tank drop on the way. Ugh. Thu honestly would have been better just unsummoning this down here and just trenching the crap out of this position, because this is a beautiful choke point. If you line your units up against that, the tanks can't attack your buildings. You have a bunch of buildings. You could add your meat wagons right in here, so if there was a tank drop, you could have just focused on those tanks with the meat wagons. He actually could have, undeniably, he could have held this way better than what he did. Even though he did have it good on the choke, he did good on the choke, but it wasn't enough. And now he's hiding behind the buildings. Why are you hiding behind the buildings? Your units can't be attacked by the tanks. Thu is probably the best player in the world. But Thu, I think you're making a mistake here. I do. Here come those tank drops. That gold mine's gonna go down. At this point, there's nothing that he can do to defend all these tanks. There's absolutely nothing he can do. I mean, look, what can you do at this point to defend the tanks? There's nothing. The barracks, or the crypt, it's the last thing he has. Even though Thu has the stronger army, it doesn't matter. Well, I was gonna say good game, but so the haunted gold mine went up. He would have to have some ridiculous. Just move the meat wagons down. Well, anyway, they called Thu. I'm not gonna say it's not hard. It's very difficult in that situation for the undead. Absolutely very difficult. But there you go. That's the game. That was a wonderful game. I mean, I'm not always the biggest fan of tank endings. I do think on that map, the undead. I think Thu had a really good chance if he just played a little more strategical. I think with those choke points, maybe just with that, he had such a great choke point at that expansion. If he just went, I don't know what would have Yumiko did. I don't know what he would have done if Thu had decided to really turtle in front of those buildings. I have no idea. But that's the game. That was game number 1. We'll probably watch game number 2 tomorrow, and then if there's a third game, we'll watch that, depending on how long game number 2 is and if it exists, because I don't know. But that was game number 1 for Yumiko. This was WEC best of 3. I don't know what point in the game it was or the tournament it was, but whatever, there you go. Wonderful game, 47 minutes long. Wow. And thanks for watching, everyone. This was cast live at twitch.tv/Kirby at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, 12 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I gotta come up with a time that is standardized enough for that. Because I was using CST as Central Standard Time, and people were like, oh, you mean Germany? Like CET? No, that's not what I meant. But it was easy to get confused, so that's why I'm trying to switch to EST, but then 12 a.m. doesn't sound too good. But that's what we're doing anyway, so thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you next time. Have a great night. Goodbye.